Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 2 Part 163 based on novel. So let's start. Elder Xian smiled and asked, "What are you thanking me for?" "I already said that Shrek Academy and the Tang Sect are just like one family. Xiao Ya is the real sect leader of the Tang Sect. Shouldn't we save her? However, do you have any way of removing the evil poison in her body?" Bei Bei's expression turned slightly grim, and he answered, "It'll be difficult. However, we have to save her first before we even have a chance." Elder Xian said, "Oh, that's right. It's fine for both of you to go this time, but please be careful. Think about who you want to bring along with you on this trip. You should be the ones holding the fort at the Tang Sect, but I'm afraid you'll still be anxious even if you remain in the sect. That's why it's better for you to go. But you still need to arrange things in the Tang Sect first." "Yes, I'll do so," Bei Bei replied excitedly. "Elder Xian, how's Tang Wutong?" "She saved me. I'm planning to go take a look at her." Hui Yuhao probed by asking Elder Xian. Elder Xian replied, "You can't find her now. She's in closed-door cultivation." "What?" Hui Yuhao was stunned as he looked at Elder Xian. Elder Xian said, "I don't know what's going on with her either. She seems a little distracted after saving you. She asked permission from me to enter closed-door cultivation. No one is to disturb her. She's very talented, and is even not inferior to you. I hope this round of cultivation will do her some good." After hearing Elder Xian's words, Hui Yuhao naturally couldn't insist anymore. He returned to the Tang Sect after leaving the Sea God's Pavilion with Bei Bei. Bei Bei immediately got busy. He didn't know when they would return once they left on this trip. Things were still very busy in the Tang Sect. Naturally, he had to make plans before leaving. Hui Yuhao didn't idle either. He returned to his room and immediately summoned the Snow Empress from his spiritual sea. The situation of the Ice Bear King was unknown, but he believed the Snow Empress had a way of finding him. He slightly sighed and thought to himself, "I'm afraid the Snow Empress will scold me this time. I was really resigned to dying then. I really feel a little uncomfortable facing the Snow Empress, Ice Empress and Brother Sky Dream. But I have no choice. No matter what, this issue has to be settled." Since he had no choice, he gritted his teeth and summoned the Snow Empress from his spiritual sea. A figure flashed before the Snow Empress appeared. Just like Hui Yuhao had expected, she was staring at him with a cold look. It was as if he was going to be in great trouble. "I was wrong." Hui Yuhao lowered his head and used the same trick he had used on Elder Xian earlier. The Snow Empress didn't say anything as she looked at him. "Snow Empress, I admit my mistake." "I? Boo!" The Snow Empress suddenly laughed. She couldn't maintain the cold expression on her face anymore, and a captivating smile surfaced. Hui Yuhao subconsciously lifted his head. When he saw her laughing, he was shocked. What are you laughing at?" The Snow Empress suddenly turned serious and snorted, "What do you think? What do you think I'm laughing at?" Hui Yuhao laughed bitterly and replied, "I don't know. I'd rather you scold me instead. I'll feel better then." The Snow Empress snapped, "Daddy, are you so miserable?" Hui Yuhao got goosebumps when she called him Daddy. "I think calling me that is even worse than scolding me." The Snow Empress was furious. "I'll keep calling you that. Daddy, Daddy, Daddy." Hui Yuhao listened to her listlessly, and didn't dare to resist at all. Who asked him to be the one at fault? The room became quiet once again. The Snow Empress looked at him just like that, but he didn't dare to look back at her. He only lowered his head. After a brief moment, the Snow Empress laughed once again. "You're indeed a fool. No wonder Wang Donga called you that when you were still together. Did you really think the Darkness Holy Dragon wanted to kill you? And that we'd watch and let you die? He didn't have the intention of killing you from the beginning. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been so simple." "What?" Hui Yuhao lifted his head and looked at the Snow Empress in a daze. The Snow Empress snorted coldly. Did you not understand me? That day, right from the start, the Darkness Holy Dragon had no intention of killing you. I don't know what you were thinking. Given his cultivation, he would have countless ways to kill you. He can even avoid Di Qian. However, he didn't have the intention. Didn't you notice that? If he wanted to kill you, what would be the point of dragging you outside the city? The city is his territory. What would be the point of dragging you outside the city? Hui Yuhao was stunned as he asked, he didn't want to kill me. Why did he threaten me then? And why did he lay his hands on me? The Snow Empress answered, I didn't understand at the start either. I only felt that he neither wanted to kill you nor harbored any evil intentions toward Tang Wutong. Otherwise, do you really think you could have attacked so many times? If he didn't give in to you, you would already have been restrained by his domain. Hui Yuhao furrowed his brow. That's weird then. If Long Xiaoyao didn't want to hurt me or Wutong, what was the point of appearing? Snow Empress, tell me, quickly. The Snow Empress said coldly, before I reveal his true intentions, let's talk about us first. You wanted to abandon us, right? Tell me, what should we do? Hui Yuhao was helpless as he laughed bitterly. I had no choice then. Did you really expect me to be confident in the face of an ultimate Doluo? I had no choice. I only knew that Long Xiaoyao would keep his promise. The poison in his dagger could have killed Tang Wutong. I'd rather take the poison in her place. At least one of us would be alive to relay information. I'm a man. I couldn't have let a girl take stabs for me. Furthermore, I remember the Ice Empress mentioning before that your origins have been consolidated after absorbing the manifold mysterious ice essence. Even if I died, all of you could still find new bodies. The Snow Empress sighed and said, You're really a fool. Ice was only saying that. Furthermore, she was only speaking theoretically. Right now, let me tell you for real. In fact, our lives are tied to you. If you die, we die. Skydream might still be able to leave your body. However, have you forgotten? When you were forming your soul core, he left the remnants of his spiritual origin to you. It's like allowing a part of his spirit to fuse with you. He's already a part of you. If you let him go, would you still have a conscience? What? Hui Yuhao was stunned. The Snow Empress snorted coldly and continued, saying, Furthermore, can Ice leave? She's your second martial soul, and her origin power is in your soul bone. If you die and she's able to escape, she'll have less than 1% of her original strength. She'll dissipate before she can even find a new body. Among all of us, Star Anise is the most likely to escape. That's because Star Anise is a pure spirit. After absorbing some ice essence, its origin is stable and it's the only one who can find a new owner. After speaking until here, the Snow Empress paused for a moment before continuing, Lastly, me. Initially, your teacher burned the origin of his divine sense to save me so that I could become your spirit. Otherwise, how could you have handled my immense strength, given how weak you were back then? My origin has long been interlinked with your spirit through your teacher's divine sense. He saved me out of goodwill. However, he also tied me to you in order to save you. If you die, I'll be the next. Do you understand? It was indeed Hui Yuhao's first time learning about his connection with his four spirits. He felt very guilty now. The Snow Empress' words were very clear to him. If he died, all his spirits, excluding the Star Anise mysterious ice grass, would be buried with him. Suddenly, his face turned red. He didn't know what to say. He had only achieved what he had today with the help of his spirits. However, he had thought of giving up then. The Snow Empress groaned, I'm telling you all this to make you understand. You aren't living for one person now, but for everyone. Yes, you might have faced some obstacles in your love life. However, you're a man. Can't you live without love? Hui Yuhao lowered his head as he said, Snow Empress, I was in the wrong. I won't do it again. The Snow Empress gently acknowledged his words and said, All right, you don't have to act like this. In fact, we aren't angry with you. Hu Yuhao lifted his head again after hearing her words. Not angry with me. He sounded a little astonished. The look in the Snow Empress' eyes had evidently turned gentler. She sighed slightly and said, we can understand what you're going through, and it's not easy. All these years, you've been cultivating tirelessly and facing all sorts of dangers. You've even been spiritually affected. To be honest, you're already very tough and resilient among all humans. If it were someone else the other day, he would have made the same choice too. This is why you shouldn't think too much. We can understand your decision. You're tired. The pressure on you has been too great. Let me tell you something else. Remember that we are your spirits. We are one with you. No matter what you do in the future, you must treasure yourself. It's the same as treasuring us. Moreover, you don't have to treat us as burdens or misgivings. We're part of you. That's why we should try to help you shoulder whatever burdens you have instead of giving you more pressure. Hu Yuhao's eyes started to turn red as he looked at the Snow Empress. In fact, in his heart, whether it was the Sky Dream Ice Worm or the Ice Empress, there were reasons for why he felt stressed. He clearly knew what their objectives were in following him. If he couldn't fulfill them, he would be letting them down. The Snow Empress' words moved him greatly, and caused the last streak of distance between him and the spirits in his body to vanish completely. Thanks, Snow Empress. Hu Yuhao sobbed. Call me Snow Lady. We know you're tired. That's why we won't force you in the future. Rest when it's time to rest, and relax when it's time to relax. Even against strong opponents, you have us. Long Xiaoyao was right. As an ultimate dolor, he has many ways of isolating your connection with Di Qian. However, he doesn't know that you and I are the same entity. I'm not some kind of greenhorn. As long as I'm around, I can get into contact with the beast god anytime I want and inform him that you're in danger. Doesn't Di Qian want to restrict you? He's the first person you can turn to. You might as well make good use of him. That's why you don't have to be overly concerned for your own safety. Of course, it's still best to be careful. All right, Snow Lady. What about Little Bai? He's still at Heaven Do City. I plan to ask you if you can contact him. I'll go to Heaven Do City to find him now. You don't have to go to Heaven Do City. The Snow Empress laughed as she said, I already knew that you were going to ask me this. When Tang Wutong left with you, I had already signaled to Little Bai to tag along. In fact, I would have asked Little Bai to go over if not for the fact that Long Xiaoyao didn't plan to kill you. With him around, you should be able to retreat safely. Where is he now? Hu Yuhao asked, surprised. Outside Shrek City. The Snow Empress said, I asked him to wait in the wilderness. Go and fetch him. After that, I believe that your fusion with him can begin. What? Hu Yuhao was startled. What do you mean? The Snow Empress nodded and said, that's right. When you were hurt that day, Long Xiaoyao first dispelled the poison from your body before healing your wounds. According to his words, he wanted to drain your soul and spiritual power, as well as your energy, before letting you consume that thing. Once you absorb it, its effect will be greatest. Hu Yuhao was stunned. What thing? What exactly is that? What did Long Xiaoyao do to me? The Snow Empress sighed and was a little envious as she looked at him and said, that day, Long Xiaoyao gave you a dragon pill. Dragon pill? What is that? He asked, stunned. What? The Snow Empress was speechless as she asked, you don't know what a dragon pill is? Oh, no wonder. It's a treasure in this world that you basically can't find. Hu Yuhao was curious as he looked at her. He was waiting for her to explain. The Snow Empress continued, that's why a dragon pill is a pill from a dragon. The Snow Empress couldn't help but chortle after seeing Hu Yuhao's speechless look. I'm not wrong. Why are you looking at me like that? Hu Yuhao said, that's because your explanation is too good. A pill from a dragon. Why don't you call it a dragon's egg instead? The Snow Empress laughed, dragon's egg? The effect of a dragon's egg isn't even as great as a dragon pill. Can you fertilize a dragon's egg? Even if you can, can you wait for it to grow up? A dragon takes many years to grow from a fetus to an adult. What's a dragon pill, then? Hui Yu Hao asked. The Snow Empress answered, a dragon pill is an energy body that slowly forms after a giant dragon becomes an adult. It contains the blood lineage of a giant dragon, as well as its origin strength. It's something a giant dragon uses to develop its spiritual senses. You can take it like this. A dragon pill from a giant dragon is like the soul core of a human soul master. It's even more important than a soul core. You have to kill a giant dragon to obtain its dragon pill. So fierce? Why did Long Xiaoyao give me such a pill then? What effect will it have on me? Hui Yu Hao hurriedly asked. It sounded like it was a great thing. The Snow Empress answered, I'm not too sure about that. However, I might have overheard that it had something to do with someone called Mu En. Mu En seemed to have asked for a favor. That's why he gave it to you. Teacher? Hui Yu Hao said. Mu En is my teacher. Together, they were known as the twin dragons of black and white. He was also an ultimate Dolor, and the last master of the Sea God's Pavilion. He's very strong, and his martial soul is the radiant holy dragon. The Snow Empress was enlightened. I see. I don't know where they got that dragon pill. You really have it good. Hui Yu Hao said, you haven't told me what a dragon pill is used for. The Snow Empress said, its greatest effect is to cleanse your body and strengthen your blood and bones. Simply put, after you consume the dragon pill, your body will become as strong as a giant dragon's. Even when you try to break through to become an ultimate Dolor, you don't have to worry about your body not being strong enough. Hui Yu Hao was astonished. As an elite student of Shrek Academy, he naturally understood what a soul master's physical strength had to do with his cultivation. Usually, a soul master's physical strength was what limited him during the later stages of cultivation. This was especially relevant at the tier of Transcendent Dolor. Most times, it was because a soul master couldn't handle the surge of soul power. If the Snow Empress is right, does that mean I would have no problems cultivating all the way to an ultimate Dolor in the future? It's not just a great thing. This dragon pill is indeed very powerful. Teacher, did you ask Long Xiaoyao for help? But why is he with the Holy Ghost Church then? Right now, Hui Yu Hao was lost. He didn't understand what kind of agreement Long Xiaoyao had with his teacher to lead to what had happened. However, no matter what, it was great to have consumed a dragon pill. That is why your soul power reached all the way to a bottleneck. The dragon pill is transforming your body, and has taken form inside your body. Otherwise you would have imploded, given your cultivation. Long Xiaoyao must have been prepared. He used a part of the dragon pill's strength on your body, while the rest of its strength was used to compress it in your chest. In the future, if you can form a soul core there, the strength contained within the dragon pill will be of great help to you. Long Xiaoyao has given you a big gift. Right now, we really see hope in you. It's not just because of your intelligence or talent. It's more because of your abilities. Do you understand? After hearing the Snow Empress' words, Hui Yu Hao still didn't understand, and looked at her with a confused look. You're really dumb. Had your brain turned to dust after being stabbed a few times? The Snow Empress rolled her eyes and said, think about it. How many different types of strength are there in your body? First, you have the manifold mysterious ice essence. I've already absorbed a large part of the ice essence. You absorbed part of it too, and it's still in your blood. In fact, it will be of use when you try to reach rank 90 and become a titled Dolor. As you already have a soul core, it's much more difficult to form a second one. You'll need enough energy to support your endeavor. Otherwise, why did you think I would ask them to store all the ice essence? It's for when you form your second soul core. While the dragon pill that Long Xiaoyao gave you might seem to contain less energy than our ice essence, it's still very immense. Furthermore, the strength of that dragon pill is much more dominant, and it's greatly helpful to your body. That's why, according to your current situation, you should form your second soul core in your chest and absorb the strength of that dragon pill. In that way, your body will evolve once again when you form your second soul core with the dragon pill as its core. Earlier, I mentioned that your strength would be similar to that of a giant dragon. What I meant was that it would happen after you absorb the strength of the dragon pill. But not now. Although you've been strengthened, you're still lacking compared to a true giant dragon. However, things will be different after you absorb the strength of a dragon pill. Even your spiritual sea will be as stable as a giant dragon's then. So will your body. When you fight Di Qian in the future, you'll at least stand a chance. This also means that you can form an unprecedented third soul core when you become an ultimate Dolor in the future with both a dragon pill and the manifold mysterious ice essence. Oh, Hu Yuhao acknowledged her words. 3 soul cores sounds pretty good. I really have hoped to become an ultimate Dolor. The Snow Empress was annoyed. What kind of expression is that? Do you know what 3 soul cores means? Hu Yuhao was puzzled and asked, is it considered remarkable? Di Qian's soul power seems to come from his soul cores. How many soul cores does he have? Idiot. With 2 main soul cores working together, 1 soul power will become as powerful as Di Qian's. I'm not too sure whether Di Qian has a 3rd main soul core. He should. This means that your abilities will be as great as Di Qian's if you form 3 soul cores. You'll definitely become the strongest human in the last 10,000 years. So fierce. Hu Yuhao finally understood why the Snow Empress said she could see hope in the future from his strength. If he could possess power like that of Di Qian, then that meant he would be at the pinnacle of the world. When that happened, as long as he could obtain the godly seat, then becoming a god would be the most natural outcome. So that's it. I understand. Thank you, Snow Lady. Hu Yuhao acknowledged sincerely. The Snow Lady was both teacher and friend to him now. She had been immensely helpful to him ever since the Snow Empress had truly awakened, and that was the case both on the battlefield and in teaching. The Snow Empress grunted and said, there's no need for thanks. Even though I did say that you can relax when you should, you can't go overboard with that. You have to work hard at what you need to do. Alright, go and get little Bai. I figure he's probably starving. Hu Yuhao felt his heart skip a beat. Wasn't that right? So many days had gone by, and yet he hadn't given little Bai anything to eat. Right, there's still Big Mao and Second Mao too. They are still in my spectral demiplane. Hu Yuhao allowed the Snow Lady to return to his body as he left the room. He found Nan Qiuqiu before he released Big Mao and Second Mao so that she could take them to get something to eat. He quickly ran out of the city. Hu Yuhao quickly found the Ice Bear King, Little Bai, with the Snow Empress guidance. The Ice Bear King was still at a small river not far from Shrek City, and he was napping carefreely. He was still in human form with his enormous and protruding tummy, and he dipped his hands into the river water from time to time. He didn't even have to look, yet he grabbed a fish or 2 with every dip as he tossed them into his mouth before he swallowed them with a few bites. But how many small fish could there be outside the city? Furthermore, they weren't very big, and Hu Yuhao could tell from his lazy demeanor that his appetite was clearly unsatiated. Little Bai? Hu Yuhao found him with spiritual detection from far away as he hurriedly called out. The Ice Bear King sprang to his feet when he heard Hu Yuhao's voice. He moved deceptively fast as he stared in Hu Yuhao's direction with a look of pleasant surprise. Hu Yuhao was suspicious about whether this fellow was staring at him so passionately and eagerly because he was hungry, or because he was starting to miss him. You're here, grandfather. I'm starving. Little Bai was almost stammering as he spoke. He even nudged his hands into his clothes as he put on a very pitiful look. Hu Yuhao stared at him as he shook his head exasperatedly. If this were made known to the public, who would believe that this man was one of the strongest savage beasts in the extreme north? He looked just like a hungry little child with that aggrieved expression on his face. All right. Have your fill. Hu Yuhao took out a pile of dried meat and fish from his storage-type soul tool for the Ice Bear King to eat. Hu Yuhao had his own plans. He wanted to bring this fellow back after feeding him. Otherwise, when he began to eat his fill inside the Tang Sect, he could possibly astonish the entire Tang Sect. He might possibly even cause mass panic and hysteria. There was no doubt that Hui Yuhao wanted to bring the Ice Bear King on his subsequent expedition to the front lines. He had worked together with him twice now, and understood quite a bit about his strength from those experiences. Furthermore, his teamwork with the Ice Bear King and their combined fighting strength was very effective, especially in limiting the Sun Moon Empire's aerial surveillance Soul tools. The Ice Bear King was someone who could rival a transcendent Dolor's strength. The Ice Bear King couldn't be bothered with anything else as long as he had something to eat. He just sat down and gobbled his food elatedly. The Ice Bear King patted his stomach after munching for a good hour. Was it strange that this fellow immediately became so energetic and lively once he was full? Hui Yuhao was rendered speechless as he looked on. Where are we going now, grandfather? The Ice Bear King immediately asked Hui Yuhao. The Snow Empress immediately came out from Hui Yuhao with a flash of white light and appeared in front of the Ice Bear King. Mother. The Ice Bear King immediately lay prostrate on the ground when he saw her, and he called out to her intimately. The Snow Empress blushed and said, "Don't call me mother. Address me as Snow Empress next time." She turned towards Hui Yuhao after that and asked, "Yuhao, do you plan to fuse with him right now, or a little while later?" Hui Yuhao understood what she was trying to say. "Are you saying that my soul power has reached rank 80? The Snow Empress nodded and replied, "Even though you've only just reached that stage, you are actually at rank 80. You should have no problem absorbing another soul ring, and that's the same with a spirit. Little Bai won't resist you in any way, and after he becomes your spirit, your soul power will be boosted by at least another 2 ranks. That's because you have ultimate ice. Otherwise, a normal soul master's soul power would be boosted by at least 4 or 5 ranks." Hui Yuhao was astonished when he heard her words. Soul masters needed to accumulate much more soul power to raise their soul power by another rank after reaching rank 80. A soul master reached a different stage after every 10 ranks, and the journey after reaching rank 80 had been coined the path to heaven. Becoming a title Dolor was heaven, but how easy could it be to move towards becoming a title Dolor? But that wasn't too surprising. Little Bai was a savage beast with more than 200,000 years of cultivation. Hui Yuhao would definitely receive a great boost in his cultivation after absorbing the Ice Bear King as a spirit. He could even raise his soul power by 2 ranks even with his ultimate ice. That was strength that belonged to a soul Dolor. Hui Yuhao hesitated, but then shook his head and said, "Snow Lady, I can't bear to leave him. Is it really appropriate that he becomes my spirit?" The Snow Empress smiled and said, "You don't have to hesitate about that. I wouldn't have been so certain last time. Have you forgotten what I just told you? Even I have seen hope in you, so you fusing with Little Bai is good for him. He won't disappear because of that anyway, and his consciousness will still be around. Even if you ask our Tai to do this, he would be willing to go for such an opportunity. This is an opportunity that soul beasts like us can only dream of. Therefore, you don't have to deliberate at all. Little Bai will definitely be willing." Yes, yes. I'm willing. Little Bai chimed in from the side without any hesitation. Hui Yuhao thought to himself in exasperation, "Little Bai, oh Little Bai. You must have no idea what we're talking about, and you're just in a hurry to profess your loyalty. But this fellow is so cutely straightforward and honest." Hui Yuhao contemplated for a moment, then said, "Snow Empress, I think I'm not going to fuse with Little Bai for now. I am about to go to the front lines, where the Sun Moon Empire and the Heavenly Soul Empire are locked in battle. Little Bai's support will be very important for us there. Let's wait until after our expedition. Furthermore, my soul power has just reached rank 80, and my cultivation isn't stable or consolidated yet. I'm not in a hurry." The Snow Empress replied, "That's up to you, then, as Little Bai can do it any time. Bring him along, and you can fuse with him whenever you feel the need to. External strength is not as important as your own strength no matter how powerful it is. Furthermore, I can feel that Little Bai is becoming increasingly close to his day of tribulation. Take him along, and you can absorb him as your spirit as soon as you feel that something is amiss." Hui Yuhao tilted his head and said, "All right. We'll rescue teacher Xiao Ya, and then I'll fuse with Little Bai immediately afterwards." Hui Yuhao took the Ice Bear King back to the Tang Sect. He emphasized to Little Bai once more not to address him as grandfather before entering the Tang Sect, and Little Bai was like a curious baby as he asked questions non-stop. In the end, Hui Yuhao told him that he wouldn't give him food to eat if he continued asking, and only then did he quiet down. "Hey, who's that?" "Master." Hui Yuhao ran into Nana as soon as he stepped into the door. Several years had gone by, and Nana's spirit and liveliness were vastly different from when she had first met Hui Yuhao. Nana was both pretty and capable today, and she worked as a butler to the Tang Sect. Her status within the Tang Sect had grown exponentially, but the only characteristic that she couldn't shake off was that she would always address Hui Yuhao as master every time they met. Hui Yuhao was too lazy to correct her after a while. "This is my friend," Hui Yuhao introduced the Ice Bear King to Nana. Nana smiled at the Ice Bear King and said, "Welcome to the Tang Sect." The Ice Bear King stared at Nana and said, "Hello, pretty lady." He had almost never had any contact with humans before, and he almost began to drool when he saw the beautiful Nana. Hui Yuhao nudged him from the side, and only then did the Ice Bear King return to normal. He scratched his head embarrassedly before he followed Hui Yuhao inside. Beibei's office was torn apart by the explosion, and it was still undergoing repairs as he decided to move into the conference room to deal with administrative matters. He had arranged a series of jobs because he was in a hurry to rescue Tang Ya. He had gathered the Tang Sect senior-level individuals for a meeting, and they had to discuss who was to participate in this operation. He was the eldest senior brother, but the Tang Sect's internal affairs and atmosphere had always been harmonious. "Eldest senior brother, you should let me go, no matter what. It's my turn." Hui Yuhao had just stepped in through the door when he heard his second senior brother, Kaitu's voice. There was a tinge of bitterness in his voice. Bei chuckled and said, "Don't be hasty, Kaitu. By rights, I should let you go out to take a walk, but you know about our situation in the Tang Sect. Teacher Xian can't deal with everything by himself, and you are the best with soul tools next to our little junior brother. I am most assured with you directing things. You are stable, and I have decided to let you take over my role temporarily. What do you think?" Kaitu seemed a little depressed as he shook his head. "No. Let me go, eldest senior brother. Why don't you let little junior brother remain? He's better than me at everything. With him around, everything within the Tang Sect will be dealt with neatly and impeccably. He hasn't been staying within our walls for quite some time, and he's always running into danger when he's outside. I think we should let him calm down a little inside the Tang Sect, and he can also help relieve your burdens. Don't backstab me, second senior brother." Hui Yuhao chimed in with a laugh. This video will end here.